So you have an extremely impressive resume. So including 20 plus years with the FBI, 16 years as a volunteer with the Ambulance Corps, 6.5 years with Con Ed, 6+ years on the village board, and 4 years of deputy mayor. I mean, you're in the trenches with us in Malverne. Can you kind of discuss a little bit about your background and about your experience that helped you in your role on the board?
Yeah, absolutely. So that I try and take everything in life, a little bit of everything that I've done, whether it be in my professional life, my personal life, my life here in the village and volunteerism, and bring it to everything that I do throughout my life. So all of those played a role into who I am today, and the kind of person I am, the kind of family man I am, the kind of mayor that I will be. What I take from that is I'm truly a public servant. I think more than anything else that is so important that we are public servants, right? We have to work with, across the board, a variety of people, okay? We can't worry about big party politics, right? You have to go across the board and work it. When I'm on the ambulance corps, right? When I'm going out to a call, I don't worry about whether someone's a Democrat or a Republican or an independent. They're in need. They're a resident in need. They're a fellow person in need. That's what you go in and take care of it. I'm going to bring that to the role of mayor as well, right? What does this village need? What do our residents need, right? To keep us fiscally sound, to keep us safe, and to keep Malverne, as you hear a lot of people say, keep it beautiful, keep it a place, most importantly, that you want to raise a family in. So with the Bureau, again, work with the crossroads of people and individuals across this country, really across the world as well. You have to get along with people. You have to know how to work with people. You can't worry about what are the politics of it. Right? I learned that from the Bureau quite a bit. The ambulance corps, I learned what it is to volunteer. Right? Malverne is not Malverne without volunteers. Okay, I think that's what I bring to the table. I think that's what this party brings to the table, is volunteerism. Malverne is not Malverne without volunteers, and you can't force someone to volunteer. That's got to come from within, right? I make that a family affair, right? I volunteer my time, my wife volunteers her time, my daughter volunteers her time. So that's just a must. That's what I learned from the ambulance corps. From Con Edison, where I currently are, the public utility for New York City, learn about keeping our facilities secure, safe, secure. What's out there? What's the look ahead? What is our world going to look like in 5 years from now, in 10 years from now? And how do you keep it secure, both from a cyber level and both from a physical level? I'm going to bring that to the to Village Hall as well. So those are just some of the things that I take away from my past experiences and what I'll bring forth as your mayor.
The mayoral role requires a tremendous amount of leadership and responsibility. Can you get into a little bit of how you have decided to take that on? Yes,
absolutely, and you're spot on. I mean, it is all about leadership and responsibility. That's what that role requires. That's what that job requires. It's not a 9-to-5 job. All right. Anyone who thinks that being mayor or really being on the board itself is 9 to 5, that's just not right. So it's a round-the-clock, 24-hour job. Right. I'm used to that. Ambulance corps. Most of my hours are after midnight in the wee hours. And I assure you, if something goes wrong in this village and it's 3, 4, 5 a.m., I will be out there and awake and handling it in any way we need. But what I bring is the leadership. And part of leadership is a maturity. Okay, you have to know how to work with people. You have to know how to get along with people, and you have to listen. It's not always about talking. All right, it's not. A lot of people go out there and they'll talk over people and so forth. You need to listen to their concerns. You can glean a lot into what's motivating someone, right? Just by listening to them, And then a lot of times with these complaints and so people may have, there's usually a way to work it out. Even when you don't have, going into the conversation, you don't have a meeting of the mind, so to speak. All right? If you sit down, you talk like adults, there's usually a way to work it out. And that's what it needs. That's what leadership is about. Leadership isn't about telling people what to do or forcing people what to do. Leadership isn't about showing up on Wednesday and Thursdays nights at Village Halls for our meetings and taking a vote and then going home for the rest of the month. Right? Leadership is about, setting the standard. Okay? The standard will be, I'll be available I will be around here. I don't care if it's, again, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, or if, whether it be, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, right? It has to, you have to set that standard for people to follow. That's what the mayor role does, right? You set the standard, you set the game plan, so to speak, and then it would be my responsibility to bring the board along, right? To convince the board of why this is the corrective action plan, right? The second part of leadership is, being able to sit back and listen to other ideas, right? I'm running with two gentlemen that are just, phenomenal in how many ideas they have, not only for the village board itself, but for this village in general. Look at their records in volunteerism. It would be wasted leadership if I didn't sit back and listen to some of their thoughts, right? You can't be afraid to say, you know what? I was wrong on something. I didn't see it from your perspective. Right? You can't be afraid to say, you know what? I was wrong. I'm going to pivot. I'm going to change, maybe a policy. That's it. That's what leadership is. Leadership isn't sitting there saying it's my way and no way and that's it, right? It's also delegating. We have a large, wonderful staff at Village Hall and all our departments. Our police department keeps this village safe. Right? I got to be willing to delegate and sit down with the men and women of the police department and find out what it is, exactly what they need. Right? I think I know what they need. My background is in law enforcement. I've been the police commissioner now for the past 2 years, I believe it is. So I believe I know what it is. But again, it's I believe, right? I can sit down and listen to the men and women, listen to the chief, see what they need. Same thing goes for the DPW. Same thing goes to our wonderful volunteers at the fire department and the ambulance corps. So I think that's part of what I bring to the table.
A lot of issues around election time of what the residents are looking for answers for, what they'd like fixed, what they want, changed or not changed. What do you feel are some of the most pressing issues that face the village, and how are you planning on addressing them?
Excellent question. Thank you. So, listen, we're still not out of this national pandemic that we've been going through now, for the past years, right? Who could see that coming? Right, that was something that no one saw coming and put everyone. I don't care your personal finances, your state finances, federal, and certainly here at the village. You've heard it before out there, right? $1.8 million in lost revenue. I'll say it again, $1.8 million. When you're talking about just a little over a $16 million budget, that's enormous as far as the revenue that comes in. And why? That's for a variety of reasons. Right? A lot of it was the court systems had to be shut down. The most important thing that I see that is before us as a village is we're starting to come out of it. Okay, through the leadership really of our current Mayor Corbett and our village board, right? We were able to trim finances and reduce some of our costs in order to not raise taxes. Mm-hmm. So the biggest problem to face that, but we've got to keep that course. Right, we got to keep the course. We got to continue the policies that we set forth, and we got to bring them further. So, fiscal responsibility is job one right now before us. And what does that mean? That means, listen, we can only cut costs at each of our departments so much, right? I mean, we need our village services, right? So I vow never to reduce village services. So that's important. I know that's what our residents expect. That's the unique part of being a village mayor on the village board, is that the money that comes in goes right back out. I get to see the good that it's doing. Sometimes when you're at that state level or that federal level, yeah, sure, you do some good things, but money funnels through everywhere, and you don't always see it, or it takes 3, 4, 5 years to see. In the village, you see it right away. That's the beauty of it. That's what excites me. So our village services are important. We need to keep them the same we have, and I plan on doing that. But where else? We've got to trim. So you have cost-cutting measures, right? Our LED lighting project that people have heard about. We changed all the LED streetlights. We reduced costs of electricity by almost $60,000 when it went live in July. So that's not even a year yet, and it's already $60,000. We're going to reduce costs on our maintenance of those streetlights because now they're all under warranty. Our court systems. Our court system was updated, right, with new technology. So it's streamlined what our court clerks and so forth have to do manually, and the revenue stream is going to save costs, and it's going to increase revenue. So, that's another way. So those are different ways. We got to continue that moving forward. We got to always be out in the forefront, looking at different technologies, trying to Utilize those technologies
Right.
for the betterment of this village and the betterment of our residents. So, number one is fiscal responsibility, right? And that's the way you keep our taxes at a low rate. Again, I'll add, and I've been part of this board, you've heard the mayor say I've been working side by side with him, 0.04% property tax increase over the last 4 years. The lowest property tax increase in any 4-year period in Malverne history.
Yes.
That's during a pandemic. Right? If I'm the outgoing mayor, as Mayor Corbett is, that's something that I would have a smile on my face, going to bed. But I was part of that. The board was part of that, right? But you have to work together. And again, that takes effort. You don't just show up and vote and then go home and let everyone else take care of it. These are projects I talked about that it wasn't on the night that we handled these on the night of a village board meeting. Or any of the meetings. We came in on afternoons, weekends. I was out with our superintendent of DPW going around the streets at 12 o'clock at night, midnight, looking at areas that had low light or maybe too much light in order, when these street lights are done. So it takes effort across the board. And that's what I would ask from any new board that I would have the privilege of leading. The second is a 5-year plan. Okay, 4 years ago, Mayor Corbett, promised that we'd have a 5-year plan. Well, guess what? Even during the pandemic, the 5-year plan came about, right? Through his leadership and hard work on the board, that 5-year plan was developed. That is super important to continue, right? We have to have a lookout. Right, the days of when something breaks or something collapses, then we'll fix it. Those days are over. You can't budget that way. Mm-hmm. Okay, budgeting is super important to keep the finances of the village strong. If the finances of the village are strong, guess what? The residents, we don't need to tax them as much. So those are the two pressing issues that I will certainly tackle. I feel confident that I have the background to tackle those issues. I'm hopeful that I'm going to have a board that, the two gentlemen get elected with me. That's something that's going to easily continue.
One of the big issues that's always kind of been popping up around is about the storefronts. What do you feel?
I'll answer it this way. It's not easy, right? But it takes the buy-in from the landlords as well as the village, right? You will have the village buy-in. I can tell you that. But I need the landlords. It's very easy, to bring about saying blame, the village, blame this, blame that. But landlords have to cooperate. I have here Brian Lewis is running with us. I know he personally has brought vendors to the table of possibly coming in. But if we don't have the buy-in from the landlord, then it's very difficult, to fill those vacancies. Now, I think we've done a beautiful job of beautifying our commercial district, with the awnings and things of that nature. So we've helped out in that regard, and I will continue to do that. But what I can say is, I'd like to sit down with the landlords and just see if there's a somehow we can work this out that's beneficial for them and the village as well.
Great. And so my last question to you is, you've been such a driving force on the board all these years. What do you want your legacy to be in Malverne?
Wow, that's an excellent question. I've been so focused on where I want to bring Malverne, where I want it to be. I really haven't thought about a legacy, but at the end of the day, I think it's going to be that I was trustworthy, I was honest, I was dependable, I have integrity. Those are the things I live my life by. It's not something that I'm just bringing because there's an election now and I'm on the village board. Those things, listen, if people don't know, the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, I know everyone knows that, but it's about fidelity, bravery, integrity. Those are the things that I live my life by. Again, my personal life, I bring that to my family life. My wife was an FBI agent also. She lives by that mantra. And we've brought up our daughter to live that way too. And I may be biased, but I think we've raised a beautiful young woman who's going to be a great contributor to this village and society in general. So my legacy is that. That's what I hope that once I'm done with my village service, that people will think of me in those terms.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. Appreciate it.